So let's just have a little think. The 3 Ps. Really straightforward. Let's look at people first. Building and sustaining clubs. For those of us that have been working at some of this for a while, will have heard of a thing called Rotary 2. Some are arguing it's called Rotary Light. Actually, I prefer the term Rotary for the 21st century, because actually all we're trying to do is give opportunities to all sorts of people to get involved with the projects we do, to become passionate about how Rotary works. And that passion comes when people get involved. So the whole of Rotary 2, or Rotary for the 21st century, is about giving people opportunities to get involved. Like satellite clubs. I think we've got one here tonight, haven't we? Oh, hello, Elstree.
Hello.
And there are other opportunities. Meeting more flexibly. Actually doing some of your work online instead of having a committee meeting. All those kind of things that make Rotary accessible for people working in the 21st century. And I use the word working deliberately, because Rotary is not a fundraising organisation. Rotary is a service organisation. The membership makes service happen. And if we're going to have service happening, then we've got to make the opportunities for people to get involved how they can do it. If I talk to my children and try and arrange a day when we can all get together, it's no good trying to talk to them. It's Facebook or WhatsApp. The only way I know that they're probably all coming for lunch on Friday. It's the same for many working people. Do it that way round and they will get involved. Ask them to come to a committee meeting, no chance. Some argue that our Rotary 2 programme is part of our modernisation programme. Well, yes it is. It's getting Rotary into the 21st century, and we have to do other things to modernise too. We have to make sure that the whole organisation is fit for purpose. I've talked a little bit about committees. As from July the 1st, the word committee is banned. At RIBI level, we're not having committees anymore, we're having teams. Do you know what the definition of a committee is?
Yep.
Go on then.
A group of people takes minutes and waste hours.
Sorry?
A group of people who takes minutes and waste hours.
Yes, absolutely. Did you hear that? Take minutes and waste hours. Teams, on the other hand, get stuff done. And that's what we're going to be into, actually getting stuff done. And the third plank of the modernisation programme thus far, which links into the annual business meeting, is flattening all the structures at RIBI, making things much more joined up. Heaven forbid that membership might talk to foundation, that might talk to public image. Ooh. But that's what's going to happen, because they're already starting to talk to each other. And it might mean then that there'll be less silo working and more opportunities to actually build clubs, tell our story and do service. At the last ABM, there was some confusion about the state of our RIBI conference. Was it going to stay as it was? Was it going to change? And it was a big fudge in the end. Well, I'm not very good at sitting on the fence. I quite like a stool, but I'm not very good at sitting on the fence. So I said, okay, we'll do something different in 2019, and we are. Conference will be in Nottingham, but it won't be called conference, it will be called the showcase. And it will show the community what we do and what we get involved with. And it will involve things like RAGs. Do you know what RAGs are? Rotary Action Groups, yes. We're working with the Rotary Action Group on modern slavery, and running a symposium for a whole day with the University of Nottingham on slave-free communities. Parallel to that will be a Rotary-style plenary session in the morning, and something akin to Youth Makes Music in the afternoon, open to all music schools in the area. On the Sunday morning, we might venture into the community and do something about, could be recycling, could be mental health, not sure yet, but it's going to be community-based, and Rotarians are going to be asked to do stuff, not sit in a hall and listen. Those 3 planks of modernisation should be part of the inspiration that moves Rotary forward. Now, Barry Rasson had a couple of other things to say when he gave his speech in San Diego. One was about the environment. He lives in the Bahamas. I can think of worse places. He loves to stand by the shore and just contemplate life, but he's a bit worried. It might not be there for his children. If we don't look after the environment, the Bahamas could be submerged. So we have to make sure that whatever we do, we make sure we've got our environmental tag right. I did challenge the youth committee at RIBI training the other day. What were they doing about providing water for the young musician competition? And they looked at me and they hesitated for a moment. They said, "It's jugs of water, isn't it? And washable cups." I said, "Yeah, that'll do." Because traditionally it's always been, we'll get plastic bottles in from Costco or wherever, bottles of water. Not now. We don't do that anymore, because that's not environmentally friendly. Just one example. Now, the other thing Barry talked about was Rotary Days. The days when we show the breadth of what we do in our community and the inclusiveness of our organisation. They're quite important if we're going to actually motivate our community. But that will come out over the year. I'm sure Mike Wren has got some ideas on this. He might not share them tonight, though. So there you have it. It's fairly straightforward. So let's go back to standing on that sandy shore and watching the sea. As you stand there, there becomes a moment of clarity. You realise that the ebb and flow of the tide touches every continent in the world, joining the world together. Speaking of permanency, but also of change, because every time the tide comes in and goes out again, the beach is changed. That's just like Rotary. There is a permanency about Rotary, but it continues to change and grow. The permanency comes from our vocation, that which we bring into Rotary to use to serve others, and our values of trust, honesty, integrity, fairness, fellowship, and service. Those that we take out into our business and professional, working and family lives. Those 2 things alone make us unique in the world of membership and service organisations. But there is another factor that we have to take into account. And Tom Hunt, 3 Ruby PHF, would tell me off if I didn't mention this, and so would my husband. That is our foundation. That foundation, our foundation, should be our first thought when we give to charity and when we spend on good causes. Because actually it's the good works that we do that are our lasting calling card. They're our legacy. Remember the smiles? That's our legacy. And Rotary's been doing good in the world for a long, long time. Rotary is my inspiration to do good in the world. Over the coming year, I hope you find your inspirational moments that enable you to move from people of action to people of passion, to serve our communities until every single face has a smile, that every place there is water and food and healthcare. We can do this because we are Rotary. We can do this because that's why we joined. So I challenge you to remember two things. You can achieve greatness, said Harry Truman, if you don't want the personal accolade. There is no I in team. Do it together and we can achieve amazing things. Be the inspiration that takes Rotary into the 21st century and, dare I say, to infinity and beyond. Thank you.